Hi everyone, this is me Harsh Prakash.
This is Jason. I'm a South Korean living in India. Welcome to our channel, Jason in India. Today we're going to talk about discrimination and discrimination existing inside the countries and all over the world. Are you ready, Harsh?
Yes, yes,
Okay, so
always ready.
various forms of discrimination within nations, like in India, like caste is there, and everywhere there's classes, cultural, physical appearance. So today we're going to focus on the India and Korea about discrimination and with examples from other countries. So on individuals and society, like this topic is various in everywhere. Like it's so common, right? So,
That's true.
have you
That's true. It's
ever
very
felt
common.
discrimination? Have you ever experienced discrimination? Someone in anywhere against you.
Oh yes, Jason. This is the most common topic, and I think when I was a child or when I was growing, so I was not able to catch if it's a discrimination or is it like some kind of a you know casual joke or something like that. But at a certain point of time when I reached at that maturity, I understood like at what level it can go to the discrimination. So I have faced racial discrimination, I have faced language discrimination. So these are some of the two major kind of discrimination I faced, and I have faced it in India. So there are certain things where I can talk about it
I can
in our
see
Indian
that
context.
pretty most of the people will have an experience of just discrimination at least one time in their within their
Mhm.
life. So before we gonna start about discussing about various discrimination, that uh, we should think about the terms of discrimination. Like, what is a discrimination? Like,
Mhm.
it can. There's another word called prejudice, but it might be quite
Prejudice,
different.
yeah.
So, discrimination refers to
Right.
the unfair treatment of specific groups or individuals, and it can usually occur to like due to race, class, gender, physical characters, or in case of India, there is also religion kind of discrimination, right?
Mhm.
So
Correct.
it can cover all the topics and it can be just very different kinds of them, but there can be a similar background. And what's the difference of discrimination and prejudice? What do you think, Harish?
So when it comes to discrimination, Jason, so as you said correctly, so it can be something which is based on prejudice. So if we have a common belief that this certain group or these type of people, they will always behave in that way. So we have that kind of judgment, that kind of generalization. So that prejudice makes a very strong belief of discrimination. So when it comes to saying like uh, women are like they are not as intelligent as men. So this is something which is is a kind of a prejudice. So if we try to like based on this prejudice we try to discriminate on that, like, oh, the women are like that only. So this is how it comes from prejudice to discrimination. So that's what I feel
Yeah, I
about
totally
like this is
agree.
how
I
the
think
difference is.
in my point of view too, like
Mhm.
when once a prejudice
Right,
develops, it becomes a discrimination in various ways.
right.
So this prejudice
Correct,
can be
correct.
a seed of discrimination, and if the seed grows, it becomes a huge tree, which makes a huge
Mhm.
discrimination among everyone.
Correct, that's true, that's true.
Yeah. So discrimination usually involves in social institutional impact, which is a little bit of uh, bigger like um, understanding,
Mhm.
while prejudice is closer to like
Mhm.
personal beliefs and thoughts, and these are very highly connected.
Correct, that's true.
So,
Yeah.
why are these discriminations persist in society? Like, what can it, or why does it exist? Maybe in structural factors such as in history related to history, such as India's caste system, or Korea. In case of Korea, there's a lot of academic system, and in case of economic
Mm-hmm.
factors, it might be related with the salaries that people make, or yeah, poor people being denied, or in the cultural factors,
Mm-hmm.
traditional mindsets, or religious influences. Like, what do you think? Why does it persist in society, Harsh?
So the thing is, Jason, uh, when it comes to a human society, so we always try to seek some benefits that we want. For example, power. So people like power; they want to be on the top, which actually makes them blind when it comes to seeing a society where you can have that compassion, that love for people. So when it comes to power, that they like, being on the top is something which you prefer. So that's how you try to see this world as superior and inferior. So, and this is not related to you know only one specific type of uh, factor. It is a common thing which is in every kind of factor. It can be economical, it can be religious, it can be something, well, whatever it can. So this is how I see, like, discrimination plays a very vast role, and that's how the human society, in search of power, greed, or something, they don't see that balance.
So
Yeah.
you mentioned about well, the power of the human society, and that means if there's
Hmm.
discrimination happening, there are two parties here, and one party is gaining
Correct.
benefit from that discrimination.
Correct.
Yeah, I think
That's
that
true.
works in everywhere, and uh,
Hmm.
so this discrimination actually it was existing in the whole time of the human race society,
Hmm.
because like even
Hmm.
things back thousands of years ago when people first started living in groups, they began to forming
Hmm.
groups for survival and started distinguishing between self and others, because there will be tribes and families, and there are limited sources. So everyone will want. Oh, I wish that our family gains all the benefits more than compared to others. I wish we can have a better
Right.
life, and that kind of thing makes them very separatable, and this makes discrimination. So, like in real
Correct.
examples, like once there is tribal societies, they are being cautious about other tribes, which is evolving into modern nationalism and racial discrimination. Like even animal experience show tendencies to group together and
Hmm.
exclude other groups. Like I think the main point is about excluding.
Correct. And it's also, and it's also, that sense of feeling that superior person, like superior power that you have. So that's how that belief works, and that's why we discriminate. Yeah.
And also, I heard that illegally in India, the caste system
Hmm.
is forbidden now, but still it is
Hmm.
existing. And I heard that the origin of the caste system is about the higher castes such as Brahman and Kshatriya. They wanted to gain
Hmm.
benefit among the lower classes. Is it true, Harish?
So not exactly, because see, people try to understand caste system from its origin, like when it started discriminating people. But this system, this was first, it was known as the Varna system, Varna, Varna. So why the system was created? So because at that time, uh, as people were like working in a very different types of engagement they have. For example, if you are a warrior, so obviously your way of doing things will be related to uh, war or something related to that. That's why you got a that varna of kshatriya. So kshatriya means, like, you are a warrior, you have to serve on wars, and your dharma is to fight and save your region, or save your community, something related to that. So in the same way, brahman, so their part was to gathering knowledge, going to that level where you can feel enlightenment. So meditation and all of these things were related to that. Similarly, then there was two other system. So one was Shudra, which is the which people like the in the Varna system, it was not discriminated. It was said that these are the classes, like a classes, they the work they used to do. So these are something which can be arranged, and one can actually become a Brahmin, or one can actually transfer their system by doing that kind of job. For example, if you are a warrior and you decided that uh, okay, I don't want to be a part of this war, and I want to seek enlightenment through meditation and all of these things, so you can change your Varna to Brahman. And the same way,
Like as the Buddha did.
correct, correct. So that's how the Varna system was. But the main thing, the main game started when, obviously, at like as the generation changed, the language, the meaning, all of these things used to change. So for example, if I am a Brahmin, I'm just giving an example. If I'm a Brahmin and I see I'm getting a lot of respect, I'm getting a lot of public love and all, and I want to hold this power. Now the mind my mind is driving to the power, to the status, to all of these things. So that's how, when people, I don't know when it happened, but they try to create a very permanent system, which this Varna system was called as caste system. So once you belong to that kind of caste, so you will always be that caste. So if I'm a Brahmin, so I'll be a Brahmin. In the caste system, it is like that. So see, nowadays people don't, see these things. But what I have understood now, like the caste system is, you cannot change your caste, because there is a policy for it. There is a reservation policy for it. Those who actually, come to a class system where they get benefits from the reservation in government colleges and government jobs. So obviously they get benefits. So you, being a Brahmin, I cannot change my caste to someone who can get benefits from the reservation system. So now it is fixed, and the tables. And now what I'm saying is, now the tables is like they it's also turned. Like for example, the benefits that people they used to get from reservation, from the reservation caste system. So even if uh, that social status is now changed, people don't feel like these are the discrimination thing, but they are getting benefits in the government job.
Okay, so I
So
heard this term
will
also,
you?
term about Dalit, and
Mhm.
they are facing discrimination in various factors such as education, employment, marriage. So what's this Dalit, and are they actually gaining disadvantages because of they are what they are?
So Jason, so this Dalit is like, uh, it's a, I mean, it's a caste, and historically they were like treated very badly. I mean, uh, there were some cruel things that happened to them. And uh, and and and, and the main example of it, like, uh, Dr. Baba Bhim Rao Ambedkar, he is like one of the well reputed and most famous person in India, who got Bharat Ratna, which is the highest award in India. So he drafted our constitution. He did like 4 PhDs. He was a very well known and educated person. So he belongs to that community, Dalit community. So yes, that's true. They got lot of very cruel discrimination stuff in history. And even today, like in many region where uh, like the society is not developed, they have like very traditional way of thinking. These things exist. I'm not saying like this is completely vanished from our society. These things exist, but as compared to past, so it's not something which is it's at that peak, which was in the during that time.
Understand?
Yeah,
Because in case
people
of South
are.
Korea, uh,
Mhm,
we also felt that because we were invaded by Japan like 70 years ago, and
mhm,
by that time, even if the
mhm,
war finished and we got liberty, but still,
mhm.
people who is mixed in a society with Japanese and Koreans, a lot of Koreans were
Correct.
got a lot of discrimination between them,
Mhm,
and I can feel
mhm.
that things changed a lot in modern society, but there are still
Correct.
some some discriminations remaining, not only to Japan but just everywhere about their past related to the past.
Correct.
And also, I heard that there's also discrimination between Northeast Indians because I think it's because they look different, they speak different, such as people from Nagaland, Assam. Well, most of my friends here are. I have a lot of friends who is from Assam and Nagaland, but is it true that they are quite discriminated in entire India?
It's true. So yeah, it exists, and so what I can see here is, Jason. So first thing is, so as India is like quite diverse, right? So people, yeah, so people they don't, like many people they don't understand like how distinct the culture is nowadays. What has happened, because we all are connected on internet, and we see like travel blogs and we try to read history. So people are like, right now they are getting that awareness. Oh, we have this very beautiful place, Northeast India, where people look distinct. They have this facial feature which is quite very similar to Southeast Asian people. And like it's a very reputed region because the culture is different. People are like they are have that kind of civic sense which I really don't find uh, in the other parts of India. So I feel like more Indian when I go to Northeast India, because that's how their culture is. So obviously they.
I felt
Mhm,
these Northeast guys, they were closer to me
mhm,
rather than the Indian people,
mhm,
other Indian people, because the way how their food, their
mhm.
climates, their culture, I felt like they are closer to me.
Yeah, that's true. And even because of that, people in the Northeast India, they see a lot of South Korean dramas, movies. So that soft, I can say, uh, like they have a very soft corner for that. So that's why they can relate with you. But it's not like they don't interact with other Indians. They very respectfully interact with other Indians, and they are very patient in terms of these things. But correct, correct. But when they used to go to such places, like there are many incidents happened earlier in the parts of Delhi, in like Karnataka also. So they faced discrimination based on their facial features, because like earlier times, Chinese, they have this soft power based on their movies, based on their reach, because Chinese they are everywhere. So when people they don't see, like they are only seeing like, okay, this people like those who we see in movies, they are Chinese, and they don't know like people who live out of these countries, they can also have the same facial features. So I think this is where education is important. People who discriminate, I simply see like there is a very lack of education in terms of understanding the social culture. But yeah, it exists.
But
Yeah.
how about in terms of gender discrimination? Like in case of Korea, uh, we
Hmm.
also had a serious gender discrimination among females in the past, like 30 or
Hmm.
40 years ago. Women were not
Hmm.
very highly educated and they didn't have a chance to get employed in a work. But I think nowadays
Hmm.
things got very much better. But still, there are some women stating that they are getting discriminated among men. But I think this is a very social conflict inside the Korea. But how is it in India? Like I heard that still until now there are some
Hmm.
women who can't even get a chance to associate or contribute to the society if they are in the rural
Hmm.
areas or somewhere. Like, how is the gender discrimination going in India? Are they also women are living in safe society in the environment?
So Jason, in this case, it's a very critical topic, as well as if I compare it with the past data, like in the past what used to happen, and right now what it's happening. So we are in that phase where we are getting aware. We are actually taking that reforms to bring some positive policies which can benefit women. So when it comes to workplace, when it comes to society, so we are in that phase where we are trying to keeping these gender discrimination uh, like not as it was happening in the past. So what I can say is like it is in the development phase. So I will not say like it has changed, it has, the best policy we have, but it's in the development phase. And I feel like if we try to focus on these things, and if we consciously try to work on these things, so maybe in like next 10 years, it can give us a very good
Okay, so I can see that I can
results.
understand that this is a very
Mhm,
area that is rapidly changing, and it's a very critical
mhm,
area,
mhm,
uh, and things might change or not. It will not change
mhm,
depending on this period, right?
mhm. Correct. That's true. That's true.
Okay, so Harsh, I think in case of South Korea, we have a difference between India and South Korea, between you guys, because the factors which
Mhm,
just matters a lot in societies are quite different. Like in case of us,
mhm,
we don't have a fixed religion. We're not that religious a nation.
mhm,
Rather than that,
mhm,
we have discrimination among uh, educational factors or appearance, because
mhm,
our looks are not quite diverse compared to Indians, because in India there are so much
mhm,
different looks. There are so much different looks depending on which region they came. But in case of Korea, people
mhm.
look pretty similar. Like if you see a K drama,
That's true.
some foreigners that told me, why does every South Korean look the same? But to us, we are so different. But I think to foreigners, we
Mhm.
look all in the same part, because we're a small country compared to India. So yeah, and
Right.
there are actually a lot of appearance discrimination, lookism. We call it lookism, and it matters in like skin color, body shape, and height. So one of the reasons that Korea is highly developed and famous about plastic surgery, it means we have a great skill and high developed talent in the skin plastic surgery. But in the other part,
Mhm.
that means we we like have a lot of stress among looks, and we have a lot of pressure on it. So it is related to, like, even if you are going to work or just meeting people, these appearance matters a lot for us. And also the educational system is like uh, university levels, high school levels, and a lot of people judge people among that, and a lot of people like judge, like if you're in the top 10 university in Korea, people think, even if they didn't have any conversation with you, people think, oh, you might be super smart, you're a talented people, which is very necessary needed in the society. And if you're not in the university, then you're like uh, you're just spoken as a loser. Like people can say,
Understood.
"Oh, you didn't even go to college, or you went to
Mhm.
college, but it's a very low graded college. So what makes you important like that?" Like people's attitude. Not everyone, but I think it's a pretty negative factors of Koreans. It's a kind of a culture,
Understood.
but people make a discrimination among these kind of factors. Um,
Understood. It's more like an educational kind of a discrimination based on status, educational status, and all. Yeah.
Yeah, because since I will say it again, but since we have common similarities among a lot of
Mhm.
factors comparing to India, so people are starting
Mhm.
to judge people by like their software or soft powers and things like that.
Right.
Yeah. So I think discrimination is going on everywhere, even if people are looking same or they speaking same, it's going on
Mhm.
everywhere.
Understood. And even I don't know like how true is this story, Jason, but I think there is one a similarity which is related to some religious similarity. So, uh, like there is a god in Hinduism, Lord Ram. So I think some family relation is having in South Korea. So maybe I don't know like who, but some female relation. So she married to someone in South Korea during that time. So that story is quite famous. I don't know like what is that story, but maybe we can search about it. We can see like how it can be, because this is something which is, apart from all these discrimination, this is some common connection that South Korea and India is having. So yeah, yeah.
So, and Harish, what do you think about is the impact of discrimination on society? Like, I can see that it'll cause like limitation of individual opportunities for sure. That's obvious,
Mm-hmm.
such as like
Mm-hmm.
employment or anything, and also there'll be also social conflict among a lot of things, such as in Korea, there's a lot of problem among conflicts between like generations and Gen Zs
Mm-hmm.
and these X generation X and everyone because
Mm-hmm.
things change very fast in the modern society, so we don't have a common sense when it comes to things surrounding us. Because now Gen Zs, they are born with a smartphone and high technology, but so they have their own culture and understanding.
Mm-hmm.
But people who are
Mm-hmm.
like our parents' generation, they don't have understanding in this period. So I think there will be a lot of like social conflict in everywhere, isn't it?
So when it comes to impact, Jason, I think it's the impact of discrimination has never given any positive results. What I see is like it's a term that is it creates division in the society. So you if we try to if we are focused on building a better society, so it's always comes when we treat others with the same respect. And also even in case of there are certain competition. So so we shouldn't look at it as a form of an hatred. It can be something which can drive positive motivation. Like for example, at work, what at workplace also we face many discrimination. So instead of giving it a term very toxic culture or something related to that, we can focus on the positive side of it. We can motivate others to come to that position. So what I feel is this impact of discrimination has never given us a positive result. So instead of seeing this world as a hatred, as a kind of a place where these hatred used to create a lot of cruel things in the society, better to look at as a very compassionate way of seeing it, positive way of seeing it. That's how we are going to resolve and make a better society. That's what I think.
And also, Hirsch,
Mm-hmm.
there are also, I think we can discuss about this very interesting topic. Like, uh,
Mm-hmm.
can discrimination will be always negative? Like, there are some historical cases where discrimination had positive effects, such as
Mm-hmm.
when discrimination created new group identities, just like
Mm-hmm.
Jewish communities. Like Jewish were the,
Mm-hmm.
I think they are the most nation with who got
Mm-hmm.
discriminated among their history, but that made
Mm-hmm.
them their communities more like highly gathered, and it made a lot of Jewish community economic success. And they
Correct.
are now also still in the U.S. A lot of Jewish communities,
Mm-hmm.
one of the richest nation in the and the region in the society, and also there
Correct.
are formation of strong Black cultural identity. Um, there are a
Mm-hmm.
lot of Black Americans facing racial discrimination, and they formed strong cultural identity. And like in case of hip hops, like from the blacks, it developed very high, which they gained a lot of like common ideas among it. Like, do you see
Mm-hmm.
any positive effects of discrimination?
There is, Jason, but I think uh, even in this case, you see, like if one community they are coming closure, so there is another community who is actually doing discrimination to these communities. So there is a division. Like these community, they are feeling that hatred for these type of community, and they are like close because they have to fight together to defeat this community, their thinking, their way of you know uh, living in a society. So there is a competition, even if it's positive, but in long run, I mean, it's better they both respect each other. So in long run, yeah, so in long run, I think a common respect is something which will solve this problem of discrimination
So, like
completely.
for example, like
Yeah.
in the Cold War era, when U.S. and
Hmm.
Soviet Union had a had a problem, and the main topic was about the space industry, and because of that
Correct.
rival like kind of compete and their discrimination between others, the space industry developed in a very fast speed, and So, but in the long term view, if we want to build a good result of the
Hmm.
things we are doing, we have to collaborate with each other rather than just discriminating each other. Is that's what you're pointing, right?
That's correct. That's the better word, collaboration. It's a global collaboration that will bring positive results. As you have seen, like in yeah, as you have seen the recent Donald Trump's statements on like environment and then on the diversity. So on environment, so from the Paris Agreement, Donald Trump actually he moved out of that. There can be some reason, but to solve the environmental problem, a global collaboration is needed. So by doing this, he is actually not focusing on these type of issue. So when it comes to discrimination or any other issues, collaboration is the better word. Collaboration
So
should be there. Yeah.
when we go on to this question, is discrimination still necessary? Then definitely the answer would be no, and we should focus on
Hmm.
more collaboration
True.
and respecting each other's. Then how can it be possible? Like how can we make collaborations? Still, we have very different factors compared to each other, and we have very various thoughts. How can we collaborate and how can we
Hmm.
respect each other? Like, what's your solution?
So, in this case, I feel there are policies where people try to, when they visit to country. For example, you are in India, so maybe your purpose was to, study here. You can have different purpose, but on the side by side, you are also exploring this culture, Indian culture. You are understanding this culture, so this will give you a perspective. This is how a society used to function. And then when you talk to people in India, when you try to listen to their stories, when they tell you their stories and they listen to your stories, that's how that bonding of friendship, that bonding of understanding each other, and that's how you collaborate, like we are collaborating on this video.
We need
Yeah.
an understanding with open minded uh, to collect some information, even if it's not familiar. Still, we have to understand it
Absolutely.
and we have to think as their point of view, right?
Absolutely. You have to keep your mind very open and try to be an active listener. Try to, learn about these things instead of, judging people and, keeping up like a strong judgment about them, or generalizing them. We should understand their perspective. That's how we are going to improve
And I
this
think in that kind
society.
of case, the legal protection or policy can't do it. So individuals should improve more. And I think so. We
Right?
need more education and we need more debating, talking to each other. I think that would be necessary.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Jason. Totally agree. Yep. So yeah, this is what I like. I thought that maybe this discussion is really important.
So to wrap up this video, like Harsh and I came to this idea of, well, there was a lot of discriminations in the past, and there are still now. There are remained, but now we have to focus on more collaborating, and we have to focus on understanding each other for
Mhm.
our future and for the long term view. That because things are changing very globally, and we are becoming to know each other more than the past. Like in the past, how can we meet like this? Like we are speaking on Zoom. I'm in South Korea, you're in India, and we won't have a chance to speak like this. But now, like the world is so global in the Instagram or the social media or in the like every places we can meet each other even if we are apart from like miles and of thousands of kilometers. So and if we don't have this common understanding to understand each other, things will be very complicated and there will be a lot of conflicts. So we should be open minded to speak to each other, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So I think we should focus on more like warm-hearted and like try to understand if it is unfamiliar. So I think we can give some questions to the subscribers, like guys, what do you think about discrimination and what kind of effects can discrimination cause to the society? And have you ever felt discrimination? So yeah, that's the
You
question we're
can
giving. Hmm.
Yeah, you all can comment. Yeah, that's how we want to conclude this video.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so we'll conclude
sure.
this video like this, and we can meet at the next. We can see each other at the next video, Harsh. It was a lovely
Sure, sure.
conversation.